What if I told you that you are not self-sabotaging, but that you are doing something far more sophisticated? You are creating your reality, powerfully, precisely, exactly the way you decided it needed to be, just not in the direction you actually want. And in this video, I want to show you what is underneath the pattern of stopping yourself right before things take off. And I'm also giving you 5 shifts to redirect that power. And number 1 is a doozy. Because once you see it, not only does the shame disappear, your power comes back. Let's go. Let me paint a picture. You've done the work, you have the pieces together, something you have been building, a business, a relationship, a goal, a version of yourself is right there, right on the edge of actually happening. And then you get busy. It gets overwhelming. Something else needs your attention, and the thing that you have been quietly building gets shelved again. And you look at yourself and say, I did it again. What is wrong with me? Why do I always do this? And then you pick up the label self-sabotager, someone who gets in their own way, someone who cannot finish what they start, someone who is fundamentally, frustratingly broken in this one specific way. Well, I want to take that label and gently but firmly put it down because it's not accurate. And carrying it is costing you the one thing that could change everything, your own power. Here's what is true. You are not someone who cannot finish things. You are someone who is extraordinarily good at creating your reality. You've just been using that ability to stop instead of to go. And those are 2 very different problems because one of them is a character flaw and the other one is a skill aimed in the wrong direction. Here's the idea that I want to challenge today. We have been taught that comfort is the signal. If I feel comfortable, safe, known, manageable, you are on the right track. If it feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, uncertain, or exposing, something is wrong. Stop, pull back, recalibrate. And I agree with that to a point. Comfort is useful information. It tells you when something is aligned, when something is working, when something fits. But here is where it becomes the problem. When new is the target, and new usually is the target, comfort cannot be your only compass because new, by definition, is not yet familiar. New has not been walked yet. New does not have a neural pathway or an energetic groove to it yet. So new feels uncertain, not because it's wrong, but because it's new. And if your system is wired to stop at anything that does not feel comfortable, it will stop you at the exact moment you're about to create something different. This is not a discipline problem. This is not a motivation problem. This is your nervous system doing what nervous systems do. Seeking the familiar, protecting the known, keeping you in the pathways that already exist because those are the ones that feel safe because they are familiar. And the breakthrough that you're asking for is always on the other side of a pathway that does not exist yet. Which means the discomfort you feel right before things take off isn't always a warning. It's a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Now here is the layer underneath, because most people think self-sabotage is about fear of failure. And sometimes it is. But after nearly 20 years of coaching, I've seen that it is just as often about something else entirely. Fear of success, fear of the unknown that success brings. And that fear is not irrational. It's actually incredibly intelligent. It is your system asking completely reasonable questions that it just can't answer yet. What would it look like if this actually worked? Would I be able to handle it? Would I still fit in with the people around me? And What if it brings more responsibility than I can manage? What if it changes everything and I lose something I was not prepared to lose? These are not weak questions. These are not evidence of being broken. They are the questions of someone who is thinking ahead, who is processing the full weight of what change actually means, who understands that on some level, crossing this threshold is going to require a version of them that does not fully exist yet. And here is what I want you to see. The stopping is not random. It is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is you creating a reality that feels manageable, that keeps the unknown at a safe distance, that protects you from needing to answer questions you can't answer yet, that is potent, that is sophisticated, and that is evidence of how powerfully you shape your own experience. You've just been using it to stop when you could be using it to go. So here is where we get to redirect that power. 5 shifts. And I want you to notice that these are not about pushing through the discomfort. They're about changing your relationship with it. Shift number 5, see the stop. Before you can redirect the pattern, you have to catch it in the act. And that means getting specific about what your version of stopping looks like. Because it does not always look like quitting. Sometimes it looks like getting busy right when things are about to launch. Sometimes it looks like deciding that the timing is not quite right, or suddenly you get distracted with something else. Suddenly it looks like tweaking and refining and perfecting endlessly instead of finishing. Ask yourself, what does my stop look like? What is the specific move I make right before things take off? What does it feel like in my body right before I make that? Write it down, get specific, don't judge. Because once you can identify the pattern, you can see it coming. And seeing it coming is the first moment of choice you've had in this whole dynamic. And a little side note, please don't judge this. It's not about finding yourself wrong in this moment. It's just seeing the pattern so you can change it. But when you judge it, you turn off your awareness. So it's never about judgment. It's just about seeing the pattern. Shift number 4, get curious, not critical. When you catch yourself in the stop, and you will, resist the urge to make it mean something is wrong with you. Instead, get curious. Ask, what am I uncomfortable with right now? Not the surface answer, but the real one, the one underneath. Is it the process that feels overwhelming, or is it something about what comes after? The success, the visibility, the responsibility, the change in how people see you, or how you see yourself. Because those are different problems with different solutions. If it's the process, break it down. Shrink the step, make the next move. I've done a lot of videos on that. Check them out. And if it's what comes after, that is where some real work is. And that is exactly what these next shifts are for. So get curious, not critical. Curiosity opens doors. Criticisms just lock you in the loop. Shift number 3, answer the unknown. I want to tell you about a client of mine. She came to me because she could not seem to stop stopping. And she would get everything ready, all the pieces in place, the launch prepared, the work done. And then right before it came together, she would get busy, distracted, overwhelmed. She would stop. And the things she had been building would quietly get put down, get shelved, get put on a closet shelf. And she had done this enough times that she had fully claimed the label, I am a self-saboteur. I self-sabotage myself. I cannot finish things. Something is wrong with me. When we dug underneath it, what we found was not weakness. What we found was a list of questions she could not answer. What would it look like if this actually succeeded? Would I be able to handle it? Would I still fit in? Would I get so much money people would start wanting things from me? What if I cannot handle all the responsibility? What if I get rejected and I get alone? And because she could not answer them, because they lived in the unknown, her system decided the safest move was to not find out. So we answered them together, one by one. What would success look like? We got specific. What would you do with more money? We made a plan. What would change in your relationships? We talked through it. And something shifted. Not because the unknown had disappeared, but because she had walked into it enough to make it a little more familiar, a little less dangerous, a little more like somewhere she could see herself actually going. And that is your shift. When you feel the stop coming, instead of pushing through or pulling back, ask, what question is underneath this I have not answered yet? And then answer it as specifically as you can without locking yourself into place. Because a known unknown is significantly less frightening than an unexamined one. Shift number 2, walk the new path. Here's something I need you to understand about discomfort. It is not permanent. Your brain and your nervous system and your energetic makeup, they create pathways. And the pathways that get walked become familiar. And familiar becomes comfortable. And comfortable becomes the place your systems wants to return to. Which means the discomfort you feel right now, in the new, in the unfamiliar, in the moment, that threshold moment right before the breakthrough, it is not a fixed state. It is a pathway that has not been walked enough times yet. Every time you walk it, even a little, it becomes more known. Then the neural pathways grooves deepen, the energetic pathway strengthens, the familiar expands to include something it did not include before. And like my client, once she started answering the unknown questions and taking steps towards the launch, the overwhelm decreased. Not because the launch got easier, but because the path to it got more familiar. She walked it enough times that her system stopped treating it like a threat. So ask yourself, what is one step I can take today that walks this new path even slightly? Not the whole path, not the launch, just one step. Walk it. And then walk it again tomorrow. This is how the familiar expands. That is how the comfort zone moves, and not by force, by repetition. Shift number 1, redirect the power. If you are nothing else today but this, please hear this. The energy you have been using to stop yourself is the same energy you need to go. Think about that for a second. The precision at which you have been protecting yourself from the unknown, the sophistication of the timing, always right before the breakthrough, never randomly, always at the exact threshold moment, the consistency of it, the reliability of it, that is not weakness. That is extraordinary creative power aimed at keeping you safe. And that same power, redirected, is exactly what it takes to build something, launch something, become something you have not been before. You are not someone who cannot create. You are someone who has been creating, stops, delays, safety, the familiar, with remarkable precision. So ask yourself today, what could I create if I redirected this energy toward what I actually desire? Not away from the unknown, but towards what is on the other side of it. Because the power, your power, was never the problem. The direction was. And direction you can change today. And my client launched things, not perfectly, not with every unknown question answered, but she launched. And she beautifully handled all that came after because she was always capable of that. The stop had just convinced her that she wasn't. And my friends, so are you. You're not a self-saboteur. You are a powerful creator who has been aiming at the wrong target. The discomfort you feel right before things take off is not always a warning to pull back. It is evidence that you are standing exactly at the threshold of something real, new, and exciting. And you are far more capable of crossing it than you have been letting yourself believe. You are potent, and you are courageous, and you are just this close. So please, my friend, keep going. And until we play again, keep creating a life that inspires you every single day to live it. I'll see you soon.